Hello children. Now in the last session we have seen the introduction to the animal behavior. Okay, wherein I told you what is the difference in what is the definition for behavior. Beg your pardon, definition for behavior. Okay. Now in this session we will be looking at different types of animal behavior. Okay, different types of animal behavior. Now this is seen, these four types of behaviors, they are seen based on observations and experiments by various scientists, which will go ahead which we look at when we are going ahead. Okay. Now there are several types of behaviors in humans and other animals that have been described and investigated by researchers. Okay, they have been described and investigated by researchers. That's what I just told you. Okay. Now after they described and investigated, okay, they came up with these four. Okay. Now these four have been studied from various time, from a lot of time. Okay. Now the first one is the instinct behavior. Okay. Now instinct behavior is also referred to as innate behavior. Okay, instinct or innate behavior. Okay. Now second one is imprinting. Second one is imprinting behavior. Third one is conditioning behavior, and fourth one is imitation behavior. Okay, right? So now we'll be looking at what is the instinct or an innate behavior. Okay. Now when I talk about instinct or innate behavior, okay, now this behavior is closely controlled by genes. Okay, it is closely controlled by the genes, okay, which are exchanged during the sexual reproduction of the organism. Okay, right? Now behaviors that are closely controlled by genes with little or no environmental influence are called innate behavior. So here there is no environmental influence required. Okay, so the development of baby in the mother's womb or the development of baby in a animal, okay, is not influenced by many factors of the environment. Okay, right? So it is all controlled by genes. Okay, so that is why these behaviors are called as innate behaviors, okay, or instinct behaviors. Now what is happening here? These are behaviors that occur naturally in all members of a species whenever they are exposed to a certain stimulus. Okay, so these instincts are naturally occurring. Okay, these instincts are naturally occurring. Now say for example, suddenly somebody from the back of you comes and scares you. Okay, there is an immediate response like this. Okay, now that is a stimulus. Okay, your blinking of an eye is an involuntary action. It is not under your control, but it is basically a behavior which you have developed naturally. Nobody needs to teach you. Okay, right? And your beating of the heart is also an example of your behavior, that is an involuntary action wherein it is beating throughout the life, but it is not under your control. Okay, right? Then now here when they say that they are exposed to certain stimulus, okay, now these behaviors are seen when they are exposed to certain stimulus. I explained you in the previous session what a stimulus actually is. Okay, now innate behaviors do not have to be learned or practiced. Okay, now just before, if you are learning cricket, you need to learn, that is how to bat, how to bowl, how to field, how to run. Okay, and you have to practice also. But in an innate behavior, you don't have to learn that or practice that. Okay, they are also called instinctive behaviors. Okay, so innate behaviors or instinctive behaviors are basically behaviors which don't have to be learned or practiced. They are acquired by the magic of the genes. Okay, right? Now next, an instinct is the ability of an animal to perform a behavior. Okay, an instinct is an ability of an animal to perform a behavior. Okay, it is an ability of an animal to perform a behavior. Now the first time it is exposed to the proper stimulus, Okay, so when there is proper stimulus given, an animal reacts to that particular stimulus. Okay, right? So we'll see what is an example. Now a dog will drool the first time, and every time it is exposed to food. Now, what is the meaning of drool here? Okay, it will put its tongue out, okay, and more saliva will be coming out of its mouth when it smells food, or when it sees the food. More saliva will be coming out. And also, if we see some favorite food of ours, even our mouth starts watering more. We drool more. Okay, but it's an instinctive behavior which is not under your control. All right, am I clear? Now, moving on. Now, significance of innate behavior. Now, what is the significance of this? Innate behaviors are rigid and predictable. Okay, say for example, if a dog is given its food, okay, it starts to drool. Now that is rigid. It has to happen. And predictable. You already know it. You can already predict it. 100% you can predict that my dog will start secreting more saliva than before when it was given food. Okay. Now, all members of the species perform behaviors in the same way. So any species you take here, they do it the same way. Okay. Then, innate behaviors usually involve basic life functions. Okay, basic life functions are there in innate behaviors, such as finding food or caring for offspring. Now, this is very, very important. Now, basic life functions have to be carried out. That is finding food. Say, for example, this dolphin is here. It has to find its food. Okay, dolphin leaping out of water. It is an innate behavior. It is in its genes. Okay, spider spinning a web. It is in its genes. It has to do it. Okay, then building a nest, bird building a nest. It is there in the genes itself. It is an innate behavior. Okay, and caterpillar making a cocoon. So this is also there. Okay, it has to make a cocoon. Okay, right? In order to become a moth, it has to make a cocoon. So it is a instinctive behavior. Okay, and also, say for example, the spider web is there. For trapping the prey also, spider web is used. You might be knowing it. Okay, and caring for offsprings. Now you might have seen if a dog or a cat has given birth to a young one, or even human has given birth to a young one, they take care of their offsprings very, very carefully. Now that nobody has to teach them. Okay, it is an innate behavior. Okay, right? Then, if an animal were to perform such important behaviors incorrectly, okay, it would be less likely to survive or reproduce. Now this is very, very important. Survival and reproduction. For animals to survive, or for its generations to continue, it has to survive and reproduce. So if these behaviors are not performed perfectly, then this will be a big question mark. Okay, right? So the spider has to spin a web. A bird has to build a nest. A caterpillar has to make a cocoon, and a dolphin has to leap out of the water. Okay, right? Now that is their instincts, okay, or an innate behavior. Okay, now I hope you understood these two, instinct or innate. Now going to the second one, which is the imprinting. Now this is very, very easy. You can guess when you are seeing this image itself. Okay, what is imprinting? Okay, imprinting, that is imitating. Okay, imprinting is basically imitating. Now, say for example, imprinting is a simple and highly specific type of learning that occurs at a particular age or life stage during the development of certain animals such as ducks and geese. Okay, now say for example, you see this image here. This is the mother duck. Okay, this is the mother duck. Now, as soon as the baby hatches out from the egg, okay, now that baby instinctively starts imprinting itself in the path of the mother. Okay, it starts following the mother. Basically, simple language, it starts following the mother. But scientifically, what is happening there? It is actually imprinting itself in the path of the mother. That is, it is following its mother. Okay, right? So they developed when they see. Similarly, Imprinting is a simple and highly specific type of learning that occurs at a particular age or life stage during the development of an animal, such as ducks and geese. Now, in humans also we see this behavior. Okay, when ducklings hatch, they imprint on the first adult animal they see, typically their mother. That's why mothers are close to the duck eggs when they are hatching, because they want them to follow them. They want to take care. It's a motherly instinct. Okay, it's a motherly innate behavior. Okay, right? So as soon as the ducklings hatch, they start following the mother. Okay, they start following the mother. Okay, now once a duckling has imprinted on its mother, the sight of the mother acts as a cue to trigger the suite of survival promoting behaviors. Okay, so once the duckling in its brain has set, okay, that she is my mother and I have to follow her, that has imprinted into her mind, then whenever and wherever the duckling sees the mother, there is a trigger sent that I have to go and if I have to survive, I have to stay with my mother. So the duckling immediately moves to the mother. That is survival promoting behaviors. Okay, now such as the following the mother around and imitating her. Okay, so this is very, very important when we are talking about imprinting. Okay, right? So imprinting is nothing but imitating the whatever you are seeing. So say for example, even your human babies are there. Human babies sometimes imprint their parents. Okay, they imitate their parents. Okay, right? Is that clear? So same way, whatever the father or the mother does, they try to do it. Okay, so similarly here also in the ducklings or in the geese, whatever the mother duck is doing, the baby's duck will imprint that in their mind, so which helps them to survive. Okay, right? So today we have seen two behaviors, which is instinctive and imprinting. Okay, and in the next session we'll see the next two, which is conditioning and imitation. Okay, thank you so much.